Today's video is focused on one of my favorite techniques, which is jig fishing. How to catch more fish, bigger fish, and develop more confidence when fishing a jig so you can go out on your home body of water and catch bigger bass. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this one. Oh my God. It's a lot better fish. In today's video, we're talking about my top 5 ways to develop confidence in fishing a jig. I think fishing a jig can be intimidating to some people because you don't nearly get as many bites as on some other techniques, but it can be a very good way to cover water and effectively get those bigger bites throughout the day. So today we're sharing with you guys my top 5 ways to catch more and bigger fish on a jig and develop confidence when doing so. Now, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Benjamin Nowak, and this channel here is devoted to helping you guys going out and catching more bass. So if you guys aren't already subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you click that little subscribe button down below. It'll let you know when I post more content just like this one here. Tip number 1 when you're going out and fishing a jig is to just fish it when the bite is good. And this is the most obvious technique or tip I'm going to give you guys to develop confidence when you're fishing a jig, but fish it when the bite is good. A lot of times when the fish are biting, when they're biting on a certain lure, you don't want to switch up because you're having success. But when they're biting a bait and when they're eating and they're feeding and they're actively, aggressively moving around your lake and willing to feed, pick up a jig and go catch some fish on it. That's going to help you understand what the bite feels like, understand where to fish it, understand how to fish it, how it acts in the water. And so just fishing the bait when the bite is good is the most easy, obvious, and helpful technique or information that I can give you guys to develop confidence in a jig, because once you start to get the feel for the bites, once you understand how to fish it, and you start to catch a little bit better than average quality fish, you're going to start wanting to fish a jig more often. So fish it when the bite is good, and that's going to help you guys get a head start in developing confidence in fishing a jig, because you're going to get more bites and you're going to typically pick off those bigger than average fish when you're fishing this bait. So fish it when it's good, when you're getting bites, and when those fish are actively and aggressively feeding.
Other than that one song that he had, what did Uncle Parker do?
Nope, they won. You see how hard I hit that one? He was not getting off. Tip number 2 is to start simple. There's a bunch of different jigs on the market, a lot of different sizes, styles, models, or you can fish it a whole bunch of different ways. Versatility is key with the jig, but I think that pulls you away in so many different directions when you're starting to fish a jig that it makes it hard to actually just get started. So start simple. Start with a 1/2 ounce brown base color jig like this one right here, and you can have success going out to your home body water. I don't care if you're fishing dirty water, clean water, stained water, tannic, it doesn't matter what you're fishing. A brown jig is going to get you bites just about anywhere that you go. So start with a simple color, which I would recommend a brown jig, a standard size, which I would recommend a 1/2 ounce or a 3/8 ounce model jig in your standard casting models. So what that means is using a jig that has a round or pointed style head that you can cast into open water and fish swimming, drag it on the bottom, fish it around docks. But starting with a very standard style jig, starting with a very simple jig, is going to give you a very good starting point. And then pick up 1 or 2 different colored trailers, 1 or 2 different style trailers that you can play around with and understand how they impact the way that bait moves. The ones that I would recommend are the Berkley Chigger Craw. This is my all-time favorite style jig trailer. The 4-inch size is the one I would recommend, and you can bite it down just a little bit to make it a little bit smaller. But the 4-inch Berkley Chigger Craw in green pumpkin or black and blue will be a great starting point. Or if you don't want to go with a Berkley product, Strike King Rage Craw is another really good option. Kind of go with those same color bases, either green pumpkin, black and blue, or something with one of those variations. Those are going to be great imitations of all different types of forage, from crawfish to bluegill to other styles of bait fish that you might have in your bodies of water. A green pumpkin or black and blue style trailer on a brown jig is going to be a great starting point, and that's going to give you the ability to just go out and fish it without having to worry about all the other things that are related to jig fishing, such as the head size and the style and all these other different things. So brown jig with the green pumpkin or black and blue trailer is going to help you go out there and develop confidence when you're jig fishing. Now, tip number 3 is going to be going with a compact or smaller profile size jig. There's a lot of really big, bulky style jigs on the market like this one right here, but going with a smaller, more finesse, compact style jig like this monster bass 3/8 ounce jig is going to be a great starting point because it's going to get you more bites. It's going to be easier to fish. You don't really have to worry about matching it with too bulky a trailer. You can just go out there and fish it and get bites and have a lot of success. So going with a more compact style jig and downsizing your presentation is going to help you have more success on the water more quickly. I think what this is going to boil down to is just having success and starting to get a little bit of momentum rolling to carry you into fishing a jig and make you really enjoy fishing it. So starting with a more compact style jig like the Monster Bass jig that I have right here is a great versatile offering that you can do a bunch of things with, but it's a smaller profile that's going to get you a lot of bites. Again, with that Rage Craw or that Berkley Chigger Craw, you're going to have the ability to modify these to make them fish a little bit smaller than they actually are. So when you're fishing this Berkley Chigger Craw, I always like to take this top section of the Chigger Craw and bite it off. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it a smaller, more compact profile on the back of this Monster Bass jig. So if you take this jig and you thread your trailer up on there, you're going to have a fairly compact profile that's going to be a very easy meal for a bass in any body of water that you're fishing. So this is a smaller profile jig. It's more compact. It's going to be a little bit easier meal, so you're going to get more bites. It's going to result in more understanding of what the bait feels like, what the bass feel like when they bite it, and just give you the confidence you need to go out and fish a jig more effectively. Wow, there must be a lot of fish because that fish came out so hot. It's a largemouth. Thank you, buddy. Whew. There's another one on that Chigger Craw. And tip number 4 is fishing it around visible cover. You want to understand how this bait is working underwater, because I think that's one of the most powerful things about fishing a jig is actually understanding what it's doing and how effectively it imitates the forage that bass are feeding on. So take this bait, fish it around docks, fish it around shallow grass, fish it around shallow, clear water where you can actually see what the bait's doing underwater. Swim it, hop it, drag it. You want to see how it's acting and what it's looking like for those fish. Choked that jig. Swam it up under that dock. Choked that jig. Because seeing what this bait does is really going to give you a lot of confidence to understand that it's effectively imitating the forage that the bass are feeding on, so you can go up and know when you flip this jig in there and you're dragging it along that you can have success with this bait because it looks natural. Even though it is a little bit bigger, bulkier profile with that skirt flowing around it, it's going to look natural. It's going to look like a bluegill, look like a crawfish. You're going to understand how it swims through the water when you change your retrieve, how it skips up under a dock, how the bait moves or flows when you're fishing it through grass and over cover. So by fishing it around visible cover, you're going to actually get a feel for what this bait is truly doing underwater. There's no question marks. You can see what it's doing. You can watch it. You can watch fish react to it. It's going to give you a great starting point on understanding how this bait acts and how the fish react to the bait in shallow water situations around visible cover. And finally, have fun with this bait and fish it with a bunch of different styles of retrieves. Don't get locked into just doing one thing. Don't think you got to flip it around grass. Don't think you have to throw it around docks or get locked into just one certain retrieve. Fish it a whole bunch of different ways. That's one of the benefits of a jig. That's one of the things that makes a jig so powerful, is its ability to be fished in a variety of different situations with a lot of different retrieves, doing a bunch of different things. And this is one right here.
Right there, and there's a big fish on it, dude. He's on you. You don't want to hit the trolling motor. Bite that and crack him.
Oh my God! Oh!
Good, dude, baby! 4 more! 4 more! Woo!
Oh, dude.
I told you they were in here. I told you they were in here.
I got so jacked when I saw her eat that thing. Oh my God.
There you go, dude. Heck
There's
yeah.
one.
That's 6 all day. Gotta be.
Gotta be.
Look it up.
Take this bait, cast it around docks, swim it, hop it, flip it around grass, drop it in deep water. Whatever you have to do, just fish this bait with a bunch of different retrieves so you can understand the way the bait acts, the way that you prefer to fish it, and so that way you can develop confidence fishing it in a variety of different situations with different retrieves, with different conditions, and go out and have success with this bait. And with those 5 pieces of advice, I think you should have the confidence you need to go out and put this bait in your hand every time you're on the water, whether it's largemouth or smallmouth. By developing some confidence in a jig, I think it's going to become a very key bait in your arsenal. And hopefully these 5 tips will help you guys go out and have the confidence you need to fish a jig more often and more effectively on any body of water that you fish. So if you guys have any questions or comments about any of the gear that I mentioned in this video, check out the description down below. All these products are going to be linked, or hit me up down in the comment section. There's a lot of great information in here, but I think this is going to help you guys have a starting point in developing confidence in fishing a jig, especially when you get out there this summer. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you learned something or enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below if you're not already. And as always, thank you for watching. Take care, tight lines. God bless. Pursue your passion.